Shalom, shalom, Yasharala. Salakia for the little wait. My internet was acting up. I see Brother Kingdom Minded 144. Shalom, shalom. Um, Troke, Boa. Shalom, shalom. So I hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all had a good Sabbath if you were observing the Sabbath. For those of y'all observing the Feast of Dedication or Hanukkah, hope y'all are having a good one. Hope you had a good feast day. So I'll start by giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, our Messiah, Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Right. So the name of this lesson is going to be called "The Times Are Speeding Up, and So Are the Signs. Stop ignoring the Most High, or die." Right. I've had many brothers and sisters recently um, reaching out to me and saying they've been getting signs from the Most High. Many brothers and sisters reaching out and saying that they see how the times are speeding up. Like, look, well, in Texas at least, we're already January 2nd, 2022, right? For those of y'all who are on here showing that there was what 6, 7 people on here, how fast did the year go by? Right? I asked my daughters. One of them was like, it seemed like 3 months. The other one said like 4 or 5 months. My wife said it seemed like 6 months. The times are definitely going by a lot faster, and as the prophecies say, right? So we're gonna go ahead and start in Matthew, the 24th chapter. So as we see the time speeding up, you have to understand that our window of opportunity to get right with the Most High is definitely closing. And as the time speed up, we should be speeding up to get right with Him. Right? This is Matthew 24:21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Right? So the worst time ever is all but here, right? It's about to start what Christians call the Great Tribulation, what we know as Jacob's trouble, because that's what the scriptures call it, right? Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, for those of you who want to check it out. I also did a video a while back on specifically on Jacob's trouble, the things that are going to happen, right? It's going to be a time worse than we've ever seen or ever will be. Verse 22, and except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Right? So the days are being shortened, and who are they being shortened for? They're being shortened for the elect's sake, right? For those chosen to make it to the kingdom through their faith and through their works. That is why the days are being shortened. My internet's been going in and out lately. So we know the days are being shortened, and as the days get shortened, like I said, your time to repent is getting shorter and shorter. So while this wicked world and the people of the world are hoping things go back to normal, right? While they're hoping things go back to normal, we are actually praying for the opposite. We're praying for these prophecies to come quicker and quicker, for the Most High to send His Son and to seal those 144,000, right? And send the angels and take care of business and get rid of this wicked kingdom and establish His righteous kingdom. The brother put Isaiah 55:6. If you want to comment the whole verse, I'll pull it up. So this is Second Ezra's chapter 2 and verse 13. It says, "Go and ye shall receive. Pray for a few days unto you, that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch." Right? So it's saying to pray that the days may be shortened, right? This is something that you should be praying for. If you're really doing the things that you know you're supposed to be doing, then you should be praying for the days to be shortened, right? Because you want that kingdom to come. Now, people that aren't really living the right way, that aren't living according to the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments, precepts, and His word, they're not going to be praying for the end to come, right? Especially if they know what their end is going to be according to the word. So it says, go and ye shall receive, pray for a few days unto you. And like I said, this whole past year, or the last 2 years since this so-called pandemic started, it just seems like it's been a few days, right? In comparison to the amount of time that has actually passed. And it says that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch. The kingdom is already prepared, right? The Most High already knows who's going to make it, when it's going to happen. It's already prepared. What we need to be doing is watch. We need to be watching all of these prophecies come to pass. We need to be watching all of the evil around us, so that we can be vigilant and prudent, and be like Neo in the Matrix and just be dodging all of the evil around us, right? It's Isaiah 55 and 6. It says, seek Yahweh while he may be found, call ye upon him while he is near, right? So in the last lesson, we were reading um, in Proverbs, the first 2 chapters, we start trying to seek him and it's already going to be too late. So what we need to do right now is be seeking him while he can still be found, right? While we still have a chance. Because also on the last slide, for those of y'all who caught it, it's like it says in Hebrews 10 and 26, the more you sin willfully, right, there's going to come a time where there's no more sacrifice for your sins. Like it says in Hebrews, the 6th chapter, it says you were just walking all over Yahweh sacrifice, right? So there's no more chance for repentance. But getting back to the title, it says the times are speeding up and so are the signs. Many people are getting signs in these end times, right? And that's also prophesied to happen. This is Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, Yahweh also bearing them witness, both with signs and wonders, and with diverse miracles and gifts of the Holy Ghost according to his own will. So the Most High bears us witness. He allows us or makes us to witness certain things, certain situations, certain events, certain people, certain discernments. He makes you witness to give you a sign, right? When you're wondering sometimes about certain things, and he just gives you a sign, right? And many people have been reaching out to me lately and saying, look, this happened, and I know it was a sign from the Most High, or I know it was a sign from God, or from whatever they call him. Some people call him Yahweh, some people just call him God when they're not that far into the truth. But I tell them, the majority of the time, I tell them, like, yeah, I believe you. He's trying to reach out to you, right? It's like Joel, the 2nd chapter, or Acts, the 2nd chapter. It says, in these last days, he will pour his spirit out upon all flesh. Many people are getting that spirit poured out on them, right? To see certain things, to see signs and wonders. But the question is, what are you doing once you get that sign, right? Once he makes you bear witness of something, what are you doing with it? Are you still going about your normal everyday life? Are you still doing the wickedness that you've been doing, right? Because if you are, then like the title suggests, if you're not seeking the Most High, if you're ignoring the Most High and His signs, then we already know what's going to happen, right? You already know what your end is going to be, right? Because you refuse to hear His words, you refuse to hear His signs, you refuse to act on the time speeding up. You're not speeding up your walk with Him. You're not speeding up following after Him, right? Instead, you're going by your own heart. And actually, let me pull up Jeremiah 13 and 10. So this is Jeremiah 13 and 10. This evil people which refuse to hear my words, which walk in the imagination of their hearts, and walk after other gods to serve them and to worship them shall even be as this girdle which is good for nothing. Right? And actually I'm gonna pull up the whole I'll pull up the whole the story for context in just a second. But the point I'm bringing this out for is because it says this evil people which refuse to hear my words. There's many people that have been given signs, right? There's people even that I've been talking to recently that aren't in the truth, and they still see that we're living in the end times. They still believe like the end is near, but they're still not living in the truth. There's people that I talk to in and out of the truth that say they know that the times are speeding up, right? They could see these things happening, right? And the Most High is making them happen, right? That's why Hebrews 2 and 4 says the Most High bears you witness, gives you signs, right? So that you could see the times we're living in, so that you could see times are speeding up, and He gives you these signs. But these evil people refuse to hear that, and they walk in the imagination of their heart. They would rather go off of what their heart says, right? Like Proverbs 23 and 7, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man thinks in his heart, what do you think with your mind, your head, right? So many people are evil and they don't want to follow the word. They don't want to follow the Most High signs and the Most High's corrections because they would rather walk in the ways and the imaginations of their own heart and walk after other gods, right? They're walking after other gods. And many people, many people in the world, their God is themselves, right? That's why it has a lowercase g. It's not talking about the Most High. In Second Corinthians, what is it, 4 and 8, I believe, or is 8 and 4? It says that gods be there be many, right? When you look into the word God in the Hebrew, it just means a power. Some people, their power, their God is themselves, right? That's why it says, which walk in the imagination of their hearts and walk after other gods to serve them and to worship them shall be even as this girdle which is good for nothing. So it's saying if you're an evil person, you're refusing to hear the words, you would rather walk in your own imagination, in your own thoughts and ideas of what's good for you. You don't care about what the Most High says, right? Then you are what? You are good for nothing, right? And I know many people personally and that I've spoken with before that do this. People come into the truth, they learn about the truth, right? But that flesh just gets to them. They could have 1,000 signs from the Most High, but they're not willing to fight that battle against the flesh, right? Not to get too off topic, but let me get two verses on that real quick. So this is Galatians chapter 5 and verse 17. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are the contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Right? So I've talked to many people that have gotten many signs from the Most High, and they'll even say, look, it was a sign from him. I know it was. There's no way this could have happened, or this certain situation, or the way it went down. There's no other way of explaining it. It was it was the Most High, or it was God, right? Or it was Yahweh. But then what happens? That's in the spirit. They're seeing that, right? The Most High gave them that spiritual discernment to be able to see that. But as soon as that happens, their flesh starts lusting or fighting or battling against the signs and the spiritual things that the Most High just showed them, right? Why? Because the flesh and the spirit are contrary one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. So when you get that sign from the Most High, right, which I'm pretty sure all of us can bear witness to, I'm sure all of us can bear witness to you've had a sign or something like that, right? It's showing on my end. There's 12 people in here right now. If you want to comment some type of sign that you've had before, or just a con or yes, if you've seen a sign lately, or when you're first coming into the truth, I guarantee you, everybody who sees this video, or just about everybody, has had some type of sign from the Most High, right? But then what happens after you get that sign? You're in the spirit, you're like, man, that was a sign. I really got to get right. But then what happens? You get in the flesh, you start getting tempted, right? And then what happens? You go off. It says, ye cannot do the things that ye would. You can't do the things that you want to do in the spirit because your flesh is just battling you and battling you, right? Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak, right? When you see that the times are speeding up, when you see that 2021 just blew by in what seems like a few months, then your spirit is willing. Your spirit wants to do the things you need to do to make it to the kingdom as you see it getting closer. When you get these signs, your spirit wants to do what you need to do to make it to the kingdom because you're getting signs, but your flesh is weak, right? And that's why you have to be built up in the spirit and be built up in this word, right? Like it says in Acts chapter 20. I'll get that in just a second. Khan you go real in depth. Thank you for taking time to give these lessons. A blessing to hear the gospel with clarification. There's people like me that need more thorough explaining. All praise to the Most High. So Khan, this is primarily for people that are newer to this truth, right? Because this is how I've been in the truth about 5 years, and the first, I'd say 2, maybe 2.5 years, almost all of my stuff. I mean, of course, I would study and read every day, but I would learn more with clarification, like you said, from videos. So all praise to the Most High for that. Just giving back, each one teach one, right? Sister Quayab, shalom. Hope you're having a good one. Abraham Seed, happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. I hope you're having a good one, a blessed one. And remember, in First and Second Maccabees, it said that they would keep the feast cheerfully, right? So this is a happy feast. This ain't like a solemn assembly, like Day of Atonement, or like the last day of the, what is it, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Oh no, Salakia, the Feast of Tabernacles. Happy Hanukkah, right? A Shar Hanukkah. Hope you're having a good one. So getting back to this, once you get those signs, right? When you get those signs, immediately, Satan comes immediately, right? Like it says in Mark, the 4th chapter. Let me get that real quick. It says, as soon as you get the word, as soon as you start trying to live in the spirit, guess what? You're going to start getting attacked immediately, right? And when I first started doing lessons, I don't know if any of y'all, probably not, any of y'all were on there probably like 3-4 years ago. When I first started doing live lessons, I would always finish with these 2 verses. This is Mark chapter 4, 14 and 15. It says, the sower soweth the word, and these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. Right? So as soon as you hear the word, as soon as you start getting in the spirit, how fast is Satan going to come? Satan cometh immediately. It could be that minute, it could be in a few minutes, it could be in an hour, it could be right after you stop watching the lesson, right after you stop reading, right after you get a sign from the Most High, right? He comes to take away the word that's in your heart, right? So we can't be so quick to get distracted, right? That's probably one of the next lives I'm gonna do about distractions, because you have to understand, once you start getting into this truth, Satan doesn't have to necessarily tempt you to sin, right? All he has to do is distract you. And our people are real quick to get distracted. I remember me and my rib saw a video not too long ago, and it was showing like the science behind your phone. When your phone beeps or your phone rings, or say if you have your alerts on for Facebook or any of those other, I don't know, I just have Instagram, but Facebook or any social media or even Instagram, if you have the alert on your phone, your brain automatically picks up that signal, hears it, and it's like sugar to the brain. If you look at like those infrared cameras watching your brain when you eat sugar, your brain lights up like if you're doing cocaine, because sugar does that to your brain, right? And the same thing happens to you when you get that alert on your phone. Your brain lights up, right? There's chemicals that send signals to your brain. So it's real easy to get distracted and to get addicted to things around you. And like I said before, all Satan really has to do is distract you in order to get you to go off, right? Now you're not studying. Now you're not praying as much, right? Now you're not even watching no videos, nothing like that, because you're just distracted and you don't want to do nothing that pertains to the spirit, right? Like I said, so many people are getting signs. We are living in the end times, and that's because it's prophesied, right? Like I mentioned earlier, this is Acts 2:17. And it shall come to pass in the last days, which we're living in right now, saith Yahweh, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh. Right? So this is actually quoting in Joel, the second chapter. It says this exact same thing. The Most High in the last days is going to pour out of his spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And it goes on to say in verse 18, even handmaidens and women, etc. Right? So it's saying old, young, sons, daughters, it doesn't matter. He's pouring out of his spirit on all flesh, right? He's letting everybody know um, who the chosen people are. Number one, because I know my my ribs little sister is still in high school, and she was saying, yeah, it's crazy, like on TikTok I'm seeing a lot of stuff about Israelites and things like that. So of course he's letting people know who his people are, but he's also giving many signs, like we said, and letting people see that we have to follow this word, right? And that the word is true. So this is Matthew 22:14. It says, for many are called, but few are chosen, right? So just because in Acts 2:17, it says he's pouring out his spirit on who? On all flesh. Everybody's getting a little bit of the spirit. They're getting to see things, they're getting to feel things, they're getting to see time speeding up, they're getting signs and wonders, even seeing miracles, right? But at the same time, you got to understand many people that are being called, many people that are seeing we're in the last days and getting to partake in his spirit, that doesn't mean that they're chosen, right? That doesn't mean that you're chosen. Because once you realize that somebody's calling you, when the Most High is calling you, now you have the obligation to follow through and do what his word says to do, right? Let me go back up. I missed a comment. Sister Quaya, the spirit of addiction is no joke. The Most High still has me going through the pruning process, and this spirit has latched onto literally everything in my path. So, Khan, the spirit of addiction definitely is is not a joke, right? And it's crazy that you say that, because the other day I went to do some to help out one of my tias, one of my aunts with some stuff and moving some stuff that was real heavy. And we got to talking for a few minutes about the word and about the times we're living in, etc. And she started talking about how our whole family on that side of our family is a bunch of addicts. And she started saying, and she's not really into the word or nothing like that, but she started saying how like it's really a generational thing. So we started talking about generational curses, etc. But I would definitely say to apply this, right? This is Matthew 17:21. Howbeit this kind goeth not out, but by prayer and fasting. So I would definitely say to get on your knees and pray as much as possible, right? I personally try to make time to do it 3 times a day, actually getting on my knees and praying. Because I mean, First Thessalonians 5:17 says, pray without ceasing. So you should really be praying all throughout the day, right? Someone tries you, you feel Satan's energy around or something, if you're out in public or whatnot, or if you're at home, is to just start praying, right? But I would highly recommend, like Daniel, I believe it's Daniel 6:10. It said he would get down on his knees 3 times a day and pray to the Most High, right? But then also fasting, fasting, physically fasting from food, or if you want to do the Daniel fast, which me and the brother Jomar did a live on fasting where we went into that, just eating greens or just eating fruits and vegetables, etc. But also fasting from things of the world, social media, people that are worldly, or even TV, even music, whatever you need to do to get that spirit off of you, right? Um, Abraham's seed, facts, and another snare that's under the radar is with jokes. Oh, talking with Jake instead of studying. Calm, for sure, right? It's like in First Corinthians, the 6th chapter and the 10th chapter, it says that all things are lawful to me, but not all things edify, right? Learn anything when you're just talking all the time, not really getting into the scriptures, right? Nakama Shalom says Shalom, Barakatah to you and your house. I hope all is well with you. So let me see, where was I at? Okay, many are called, but few are chosen. So just because you get all these signs, like I was saying, once you get a sign, actually, let me pull one of my favorite verses. Once you get a sign from the Most High, it is now your job to choose the Most High, right? You now have to choose to follow after the Most High. So this is Joshua chapter 24 and verse 15. And if it seem evil unto you to serve Yahweh, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh, right? We will serve Yahweh. So when you get signs from the Most High, this is what you have to do. It says, choose you this day whom ye will serve, right? And this is what I've been telling people for a while now. When it comes to this truth, like Sirach 5:7 says, make no tarrying. Make no tarrying. Don't wait around. Don't think you have another day to get it done. You need to choose this day. If you see that times are speeding up, right? Then you need to choose this day to serve the Most High. If you just saw you got a sign from the Most High and you know it was Him, you need to choose you this day that you're gonna serve Him, right? Let me, we will serve Yahweh. So that's why I really like Joshua. One of the reasons why he says, "As for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh." He didn't say, "I'm gonna recommend to my house that they serve the Most High." He didn't say, I'm gonna suggest to my family and my house that we serve the Most High." No, he said, "We are going to serve the Most High." Right, and I keep the same spirit and the same attitude towards my house and towards my family. We will serve the Most High, right? Like I've spoken about on other lives, there was one of my children that didn't even want to at one point in time, and I was like, all right, well, you're gonna have to end up going with your mom, right? Because she's from a woman that I was dating in high school years and years and years ago. You have to have this attitude in your household. We will serve Yahweh. And if your house isn't like that, then guess what? You need to choose this day who you're actually going to serve. Because how many times is it going to take you? How many signs are you going to have to take before you choose to serve the Most High, right? Before he just puts your light out, which matter of fact, I'll pull that out in just a second too. But this is, let me go to back to Jeremiah 13 where we were at a little while ago. Said I was going to pull up this whole little story. I'm going to read through it real quick. Because if you don't serve the Most High, guess what? He sees you as useless. He sees you as good for nothing. So this is Jeremiah 13:1. Thus saith Yahweh unto me, go and get thee a linen girdle, and put it upon thy loins, and put it not in water. Right? So the Most High told Jeremiah, get a girdle or a cloth and put it on your loins. So it's talking about like an undergarment, like underwear, right? He said, go get it and put it not in water. Don't wash it. Verse 2. So I got a girdle according to the word of Yahweh and put it on my loins. And the word of Yahweh came unto me the second time, saying, take the girdle that thou hast got, which is upon thy loins, and arise, go to the Euphrates, and hide it there in a hole of the rock. So the Most High told him, get an undergarment, a piece of underwear or boxers, whatever you want to call it, briefs, put it on and don't wash it. So he did it. And then the Most High talked to him again and said, okay, now go to the Euphrates, the river, right? And hide it there in a hole of the rock. Go find a hole somewhere, put it there. Verse 5. So I went and hid it by Euphrates, as Yahweh commanded me. And it came to pass after many days that Yahweh said unto me, arise, go to Euphrates, and take, Salakia, arise, go to Euphrates, and take the girdle from thence, right? So he said, go back to where you took it after many days, right? He went and put it there, and which I commanded thee to hide there. Then I went to Euphrates and digged and took the girdle from the place where I had hid it. And behold, the girdle was marred. It was profitable for nothing, right? So he went and he found them where he had left them, dug it up or pulled it out from the rocks, and it was marred. It was so dirty that it was destroyed, right? Probably had mold all over it and all those types of things. So it was destroyed. It was no good. Like it says, it was profitable for nothing. Verse 9. Thus saith Yahweh, after this manner will I mar the pride of Judah and the great pride of Jerusalem. This evil people which refuse to hear my words, which walk in the imagination of their heart and walk after other gods. Oh, Salakia, I skipped down to the other one. This evil people which refuse to hear my words, which walk in the imagination of their heart and walk after other gods to serve them and to worship them, shall even be as this girdle, which is good for nothing, right? Which is good for nothing. So coming back full circle to verse 10, which we read a little while ago, it's saying he told Jeremiah, go find a girdle, which in this sense they're using as to put upon his loins, right? Which your loins is your private area. So it's basically like boxers, briefs, underwear, whatever you want to call them. He said, go to the Euphrates, right? After wearing them and not washing them, and hide it there in a rock, right? Then it says in verse 6, it came to pass after many days, he said, go and take the girdle, go find it, right? So he went and found it, and what had happened to it, it was marred, it was destroyed, probably all moldy and smelly. You can't take it out no more. You can't take that smell out. It was good for nothing, right? So the Most High said, Salak, and my connection is real choppy right now. So, someone let me know in the comments if you could hear me, Baba Kashaw. Just because it's showing that I keep getting a real weak signal, like it's about to cut off. I'm gonna keep going for now. So it says people that walk after other gods, whether it be themselves, whether it be so-called Jesus, whether it be a Muslim God, what is his name, Allah, whether it be Buddha, anyone who walks. Okay, Tawada sis, Tawada. It says these evil people that hear his words, that get his signs, right? Tawada, Ashley, Yasharala as well, and Drea, Tawada. It just keeps showing that it's going in and out. So it says these evil people that are going after other gods that still don't want to serve the Most High, right? After you're getting all these signs, after you see that all the times we're living in, etc., what are you good for then? In the Most High's eyes, you are good for nothing, right? You're good for nothing. This is Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 1. They say if a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? So it's asking if you put away your wife, you divorce her, you don't want to be with her no more, and she goes away and she becomes another man, she sleeps with another man, can he return to her? It says, shall not that land be greatly polluted? Is she not polluted for him to make her his wife again? No, she already belongs to another man, right? It says, but thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith Yahweh. Right? So the Most High sees Israel in general, but all the way down to the personal level, right? Whether it be a brother, whether it be a sister, he sees you as a harlot when you learn this truth, or he lets you come into this truth. He gives you these signs. You know he's the Most High. You know you're an Israelite, but then you want to go and do whatever you want to do in the world, and then you want to come back to him. You're spiritually cheating on the Most High, whether you realize it or not, right? You're cheating on the Most High. You are making yourself filthy. You are polluting yourself. Like it says right here, shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith Yahweh. Come. The Most High sees you as a harlot. And what does he think about a harlot? This is Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 22. A harlot shall be accounted as spittle. What is spittle? Is spit, right? Have you ever been so disgusted with somebody, or somebody is so disgusted with you or someone else that they just spit? It's like, right? They see you as nothing, as spit on the ground, right? That's how the Most High sees a harlot, right? Physically in the world, say a woman's acting like a harlot, but also talking to the children of Israel, right? He sees us as harlots. He sees us as spit when we're going around and cheating on him spiritually, right? So this is Jeremiah 3 and 14. It says, turn, O backsliding children, saith Yahweh, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. Right? That's a scary thing right there. That should put some fear of the Most High in you right there. He says, turn, O backsliding children, because you're backsliding and going away from him. For I am married unto you. How long is a marriage covenant supposed to be? It's supposed to be forever, right? And I will take you one of a city and two of a family. If only two people in your family are gonna make it, right? And it doesn't have to literally mean two for every single family, but it's just letting you know it's gonna be a very small amount of people that actually make it into the kingdom, right? That actually get to be blessed enough to be a part of that number, right? And there's no way you're gonna make it being lukewarm, right? Which I did a lesson not too long ago on that about being lukewarm. But let me just read this real quick, and then I'll get back to it. This is Revelation, Salakia, did it post? Revelation chapter 3 and verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. The Most High wants you either hot or cold. He either wants you all the way in, okay, I read this, I'm going to follow this, right? I've spoken many times on having an adamant spirit. That's something that I truly believe and know that my wife has, right? Even when we're first coming into the truth, she would read something and she'd be like, okay, well, we can't do this no more. It says right here. And she wouldn't do it. She read about Sabbath. She was like, I'm keeping Sabbath. Right at the very beginning, I wasn't like that. I didn't have an adamant spirit like that. But that's how the Most High wants you. He either wants you all the way in or all the way out. Because what he doesn't want is like some of these so-called Israelites that claim to be in the truth, but they're not really all the way in the truth. And then they give a bad name to his people, right? You got so-called Israelites wearing fringes, telling people that they're Israelites, but then they're smoking weed, right? But you got Israelites that claim to be the head teachers and things of this nature, but then they're drinking every day, partying in clubs all the time, right? Not being set apart. You got so-called Israelites that are still observing Christmas and all of these wicked holidays, right? All of these things is just being lukewarm, and the Most High doesn't want you to be. He would rather you just be completely out of this thing and not give his people a bad name, right? So verse 16, so then because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. So going right back to what we were reading in Sirach, right? A harlot shall be accounted as spittle. He's gonna spit you out of his mouth if you're not completely dedicated and married unto him and doing what the word says to do, right? The sister said, I'll praise the Most High for her faith. Khan, most definitely. I know for a fact that the Most High used her to bring me into this truth. Because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be in this truth. If it wasn't for her, I would literally be in jail right now. There's some certain situations where if she wasn't there, I would be in jail up until this point. I would probably have at least 20, 25 years. So the Most High, all praise to the Most High for her for sure. Right? So what you have to understand is when you're being lukewarm, when you see that the times are speeding up, when you have been getting signs from the Most High, what you're really doing by not following him completely is you are cursing him. Because when you look up that word in the Hebrew, curse, when you curse somebody, it also means bringing shame unto, right? You're bringing shame to the Most High's name when you're lukewarm, right? This is Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 20. Whoso curseth his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness, right? And I was actually talking to a sister, counseling with a sister earlier today, and we were talking about the 10 Commandments, right? And you have to understand that this verse right here goes hand in hand with Exodus 20 and 12, which is honoring your father and mother, right? When you're not honoring the Most High, who is your father, right? Then guess what? Your lamp can be put out like this. That fire that you have burning for the Most High that makes you want to study, that fire that makes you want to pray, that fire that makes you actually want to make it to the kingdom, that can be dimmed or that can be put out in complete darkness. And I've seen this happen too many times to even want to think about, right? I've seen it personally and in real life, and I've seen it when I talk to brothers, and now they're not in the truth, right? Or I talk to sisters, counsel with them, and now I see they're not in the truth. They got their light put out. Why? Because they keep cursing the Most High, right? So this is Exodus 20 and 12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy God giveth thee. So everybody knows this commandment, which is the fifth commandment, which is right in the middle, right? And it says, honor thy father and thy mother. So I was explaining, I was explaining to multiple people really about like the spirit of the law. Okay, so you have the law, which physically, obviously, this means honor your father, honor your mother, the ones who gave birth to you, right? But spiritually, when you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, it obviously also means to honor the Most High, and then your mother, which is wisdom, right? Let me post it real quick. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, starting on verse 7. It says, wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given me. I called upon Yahweh, and the spirit of wisdom came to me. Right? So Solomon prayed to the Most High, and the spirit of wisdom came to him. Right? So let's read what it has to say about the spirit of wisdom. Verse 11, all good things together come to me with her, and innumerable riches in her hands. Who's the her? Wisdom. The Most High compares a female to wisdom. Verse 12, and I rejoiced in them all, because wisdom goeth before them, and I knew not that she was the mother of them. Right? So wisdom is supposed to be like a mother unto us and unto all good things. Right? And the Most High, the Father, is the one who gives wisdom unto you. Right? So when it going back full circle to Proverbs 20 and 20, whoso curseth his father or mother, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness. When you curse the Most High, your spiritual father, when you curse your mother, which is wisdom in a spiritual sense, when you don't want to follow the Most High, when you don't want to follow the wisdom that he's given you, your lamp can be put out like this, right? Your lamp, your fire for the Most High can be put out quicker than you can even think about, right? And just think about it this way. I'm probably going to get a few more verses and then I'm going to close it out. Think about it this way. How many times, how many signs is it going to take for you to actually follow the Most High wholeheartedly, right? Giving it your all, whatever you read, okay, I'm gonna follow that. When the Most High sends someone your way and they're like, hey, check out these verses, I'm just telling you this out of love, because I don't want to suffer sin upon you, right? And you don't want to hear it and you don't want to put it into action because it goes against your own idea of what would be good for you or what you want to do, right? You just have to know that this could be the last time that the Most High puts your light out, right? This could be the last time, because I've seen people that their light, it looks like their light got put out. They were going against the Most High, and it looks like their light got put out. But then guess what? For whatever reason, the Most High was like, you know what? It's not your time yet. And that little spark, it sparks back up, and they're back in the Word. They're back to keeping Sabbath, trying to keep feast days, etc. Right? But you have to understand that the more you curse the Most High, the more you curse your father and mother, the Most High and wisdom, the more you go against them, the more you go against the word, your lamp can be put out, and it could be the last time your lamp gets put out. Right? It's like I have a oil lamp, an actual oil lamp, and when that wick burns all the way out, that's it. You can't light it back up unless you get a new one. Right? So you don't want to think that you have another chance after the Most High has given you so many signs. This is Proverbs 27:1. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. So this is what you're doing, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly. What you're doing when you think you have more time, when you see the signs the Most High gives you, and you're like, okay, well, I know there's these things I need to do according to the word. I know there's this that I know I'm still sinning, right? And you think, oh well, tomorrow, oh well, next week, right? Oh well, next month I'll get right once these things fall into place. You are boasting yourself of tomorrow. For thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. You don't know if the Most High put your light out tonight. You don't know if the Most High put your light out tomorrow, next week, right? You don't know if all hell breaks loose and now you don't have a chance to repent because now you're in the middle of Jacob's trouble, right? So we can't boast ourselves of tomorrow, because what is boasting? Boasting is coming from a spirit of pride, right? Let me get, this is one of my favorite verses as well. This is the book of Sirach. And I see your sister, your question, Sister Ashley. I'll come back to it right now. I'm gonna finish out with this in just a second. So you can't boast yourself of tomorrow. If the Most High gave you a sign that you need to follow Him, then you need to do it right now, as soon as possible. You need to choose this day who you're gonna serve, like we read in Joshua chapter 24. Because if not, you're boasting yourself of tomorrow. This is Sirach or Ecclesiastes 10 and 12. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his Maker. Right? So when you boast yourself of tomorrow and think, well, I'll get it done tomorrow, I'll get it done in a few days, I'll start keeping Sabbath next week because I got this week to do. Right? He may not give you that next week. He may not give you another day, right? You're thinking, oh, I'll get set apart in a month, right? After all my bills are paid, right? What if he puts an evil spirit on somebody and that spirit gets on you and now your lights put out, right? You don't know what one day is going to bring forth. So boasting yourself of the morrow that's beginning of pride. You're starting to depart from the Most High, right? Your heart is being turned away from your Maker. You're starting to turn away from the Most High because He just gave you a sign or multiple signs, and you're turning away from, okay, I see the sign. Let me deal with that later, right? Let me get done what I need to do first. Let me choose to serve myself this day, and I'll start serving you some other time, right? Verse 13, for pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. So you have to understand, and I've said this in many other lessons, you have to understand that pride is the beginning of sin, right? The pride is the beginning of all sins when you really think about it. And I've broken it down in many other times before, but when you think about just the 10 commandments as an example, right? What's the first commandment? I'm Yahweh thy God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You shall have no other gods before me. When people break that commandment, why do they do that? Because I don't want to serve the Most High. I want to serve myself, right? Anytime you start dealing with I, that is pride, right? All the way down, you could go through all 10 commandments, and it's all gonna be I this. I killed him because he talked bad to me. I coveted because I wanted that. I stole because I wanted that, right? I bear false witness because I don't care if it's the truth. I wanted it to turn out like this. I broke Sabbath because I didn't want to keep Sabbath. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, right? I used the Most High's name in vain because he did this to me. He made this happen, so I am mad, right? Any type of sin that you go through, it starts with pride, which is why it says, for pride is the beginning of sin. And he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. Right? So when you look at the title of the lesson of this video, right? I purposely wrote it out that way. The times are speeding up, and so are the signs. Stop ignoring the Most High, or what? Or die, right? The Most High is very clear in His word that that is your punishment. In the end, that's going to be your punishment. You're going to die. And you may die spiritually first, right? We know a lot of people that are walking around spiritually dead in the congregation of the dead, like it says in Proverbs 21:16. He that wanders out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. But you're going to die something nasty in these last days if you continue to walk in the spirit of pride, right? Because the Most High, matter of fact, let me get verse 7 of this same chapter, Sirach 10:7. The Most High hates pride. He hates pride. And like I said, boast and pride, those go hand in hand. Proverbs 27:1. Boast not thyself of tomorrow. Don't be prideful and think you have tomorrow or next week to do what the Most High gave you the opportunity to do today. He already blessed you with today. He blessed you with the signs of what you need to do. He blessed you with eyes to see and ears to see the times are speeding up. So don't get prideful and think you have tomorrow to get it done. Because the Most High may just put your light out, like it said in Proverbs 20:20. So this is Sirach chapter 10:7. Pride is hateful before Yahweh and man, and by both doth one commit iniquity. So it's saying that the Most High hates pride, and guess what? Men hate pride too. Don't nobody like to see a prideful man acting all prideful in front of you, right? And by both doth one commit iniquity. You're going to continue to commit sin. And what is iniquity? It's a sin that's continued and continued and continued, right? You commit iniquity because you keep moving in pride, right? And the Most High hates to see that. Just like me, I used to be, before I was in the truth, man, you can ask my rib, I would try to start fights with everybody. If there was somebody, she had 3 brothers, so they would always have people around her house. People would be acting all prideful or acting like they were, for lack of a better term, they're acting like they're big shit. I would always be trying to check them, right? And that was a spirit of pride on me, of course, but it was also because I didn't like seeing that spirit of pride on other people, right? And it's like they say, people that are alike, like they tend to butt heads. I could honestly say I was a very prideful person before I came into this truth. But like it says here, pride is hateful before Yahweh and men, right? People don't like to see you moving in pride, and neither does the Most High. So let's go to Luke 13:1. There were present at that season some that told him of the Galileans, whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. And Yahushua answering said unto them, suppose ye that these Galileans were sinners above all the Galileans, because they suffered such things? Verse 3, I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. Right? So they were talking about some of the Galileans who they got put to death, right, by Pontius Pilate, who was one of the Roman generals or army rulers at that time, right? And they even mixed in their blood with some of the sacrifices, the heathen Roman sacrifices that they were doing. So Yahushua was telling the disciples, he was saying, oh, you think they were worse sinners than everybody else because this happened to them? And he said, I tell you, nay. He said, no, but except you repent, ye shall all likewise perish. Talking to everybody that was there. You think that they're worse than you? That's already a spirit of pride, right? Once we come into this truth, or you start learning of the truth, and I could say this from past experience, Because when I was first coming into the truth, maybe the first 6 months to a year, I was watching certain camps. I won't even name what they were, certain brothers and things of that nature. And I could tell now, I could tell a year, 2 years in, when the Most High gave me discernment, a lot of brothers teach in a spirit of pride. And those who you learn from, those who you associate yourself from, those who you listen to, that spirit is going to start rubbing off on you. And that started happening to me too, right? So when I would tell people about the word, then I would be telling them in the same type of spirit, like in a I'm better than you type of spirit. You know what I'm saying? When we have to realize that, like I believe 2 or 3 lives ago, I said, if you know the truth and you don't follow it, you get punished worse. Why? Because you're held to a higher standard than those who don't know the truth. So knowing that, if you're going off in any way, shape, or form, you should not be in any type of spirit of pride, because the Most High will cut you down like this, right? And I've seen it happen, and I know because it's happened to me as well, right? When I was first coming into the truth, there was some things that I did, and it was like immediately punished. Immediately, the Most High gave me that sign, like, you can't be doing that, right? And that's what Yahushua is basically telling them. He's saying, I tell you, I tell you nay, but except ye repent, ye all ye shall all likewise perish. Right? Verse 4. Or those 18 upon whom the tower in Siloam fell and slew them. Think ye that they were sinners above all men that dwelt in Jerusalem? Right? So there was a big tower and it had fell and it killed 18 people. And he's saying, you think they were the worst ones? Right? Verse 5, I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. So you gotta understand, Yahushai he said the exact same thing twice, right? In verse 3, he says, I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. Then you have verse 5, and he says the exact same thing. I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. Why was he doing this? Why was he being repetitive? This is Exodus 32 and 9. And Yahweh said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Right? Yahweh understood that Israelites are stiff-necked, they're hard-headed. Right? Sometimes you got to tell them once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times for them to even get it through their head. Going back to the whole signs, right? If the Most High gave you signs, sometimes the Most High has got to give you that sign a few times before you get it, right? Which is why I always say, and I've been saying in the past couple lives, a lesson unlearned is a lesson returned, right? A lesson unlearned, when he punishes you for something, and then you don't want it, you don't learn your lesson. So okay, well, let's do it again. It's like if you spank your child for I don't know, getting something out the fridge when they're not supposed to, sneaking some candy, and you spank them, and then you catch them in a few minutes later or the next day doing the same thing. What are you gonna do? You're gonna punish them again, right? If you really care about that child, if their light, if you want their light to stay on, spiritually speaking, right? So let's finish this story. I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. He spake also this parable. Now, that's a very important parable, right? A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon and found none. So it's a man, he owns a fig tree, he planted it in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon and found none. So he came and sought fruit thereon and found none. Right? that he unto the dresser of his vineyard, behold, this fig tree, and find none. Can you hear me now, Ak? It says the connection is better now. Can someone hear me? Okay, probably just the connection. Con. Okay, con. The water. The water. So I'm gonna go back up real quick. Verse 6. He spake also this parable: a certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon, and found none. Then said he unto the dresser of his vineyard, behold, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Cut it down. Why cumbereth it the ground? Right. So there was no figs, no fruits growing on this tree. Right. So the one who was dressing it, he said, hey, it's been 3 years. Is this tree is not producing any fruit, right? Why cumbereth it the ground? Cumbering means like doing something uselessly, doing something out of vanity. It's not, nothing's coming from it, right? So he said, cut it down. He said that to the master, to the one who was owned it, right? And he answering said unto him, Lord, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it and dung it. And if it bear fruit, well, and if not, then after that thou shalt cut it down. So he was saying, the man that owned it was saying, look, just cut it down. It's been 3 years. It hasn't produced any fruit, right? And then the other man said, look, just leave it one more year, right? Let it alone this year till I shall dig about it and dung it, till I dig it up and throw it in the dung pile, right? Then after that, thou shalt cut it down. So how long have y'all been in the truth, right? How long shall that have y'all been in the truth? Just think about it. You don't have to answer. Because I know people that have been in the truth for months, for a year, for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, or have known of the truth for that long, right? But if you're not bearing fruit, right? I recommend y'all highlight this in your Bible, you mark it, you memorize it somehow, right? I'm gonna read it again. He spake also this parable: a certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon, and found none. Then said he unto the dresser of his vineyard, behold, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Right? How many, if you're the tree, how long have you known about this word? And how much fruit have you been giving? Have you been producing any fruit? Right? I'm going to jump down to the end. It says in verse 9, and if it bear fruit, well, and if not, then after that thou shalt cut it down. So the man said, look, give it one more year. If it doesn't have no fruit, cut it down. Right? Comparing that to us, put your light out, right? Your light could be put out at any time. Maybe you don't even have a year. Maybe you have a week. Maybe you have a month. Maybe you have a day. Right? But if the Most High is still punishing you, he's still afflicting you when you go off, he's still giving you signs, I highly suggest that you stop tarrying, right? I highly suggest that you start doing what you need to do according to his word, because if not, you're gonna be put to death. whether it be spiritually and then physically, or whether it be at the same time, right? You have to look at the Most High's afflictions and punishments as a good thing, right? I'm gonna get a couple more verses and I'm gonna hop off here. It's going in and out, but I can hear. Okay, all praise, Khan. I saw the brother said Khan, and you're good to go. So this is Psalm 119, starting on 67. Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now have I kept thy word. Right? So just like the Most High said that we're hard-headed, a lot of times you got to get afflicted, you got to get punished, or else you're gonna go astray. Right? It's like children. If you don't punish them or teach them a lesson when they're doing the wrong thing, then what do you have to do? Or Salakia, if you're not teaching them a lesson when they do the wrong thing, what are they gonna do? They're gonna go astray, right? They're not gonna do the right thing. So it says, before I was afflicted, I went astray. Now that the Most High is afflicting you, you got to start taking that as a sign of you getting right, right? But now have I kept thy word. And now you got to start keeping his word, right? Because it's like the saying goes, when words won't teach, adversity will. When words won't teach you, when you read the Most High's words and that's not teaching you enough to change your ways, adversity will teach you, affliction will teach you, punishments will teach you. Him throwing curses on you and on your house and on your children and on your family, that's going to teach you a lesson, right? So what do you have to do? Like it says here, but now have I kept thy word. Verse 70, their heart is as fat as grease, but I delight in thy law. Like we read in Exodus 32 and 9, a lot of people are too stiff necked to get this word, to get the truth, to live in the truth. Their heart is as fat as grease. Again, your heart being your mind, right? Imagine you got a layer of fat and grease all around your mind. You can't get nothing into it, right? But I delight in thy law. Verse 71, it is good for me that I have been afflicted. Oh, Salakia, afflicted that I might learn thy statutes, right? So you got to look at it as a good thing if the Most High is still giving you signs and afflicting you. Because like I mentioned earlier, when I was first coming into this truth, it was like I knew I wasn't supposed to do something and I'll do it anyways on certain occasions. And it was like right away the Most High would afflict me. And I knew he gave me that sign, he gave me that spirit to know, all right, I know exactly why this happened. It's because I did this. Now he's punishing me. Now he's afflicting me, right? And like it says here, it is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. Now you learned that, okay, it's not just a book. It wasn't just written on paper. This is actually something that's going to come to pass if I go against it, right? Verse 75, I know, O Yahweh, that thy judgments are right, and that thou in faithfulness has afflicted me, right? The Most High allows you to know that when he judges you, because you're getting judged every day. This is what a lot of people don't realize. It's not like, okay, judgment day, that's the only time you're getting judged. No, his people that he's dealing with are getting judged every day. Are you applying the wisdom you know, or are you not applying it? If you're not, then you're getting cursed. Deuteronomy 28:15 all the way to 68. All those curses are going to start happening to you, right? You're going to get judged. And his judgments are right. They're righteous. They're according to your actions. And that thou in faithfulness has afflicted me, right? A lot of times he has to afflict you so it can build up your faith, right? I know when I was getting afflicted in the past, that's all it did. It built up my faith. It was like, man, this word is really true. My faith is even stronger now. Where some people go the opposite way, they go left. They're like, well, God, why would God make this happen to me? No, you made this happen to you. You're the one that chose not to do what his word says to do. right? So it should be building you up in faith. Verse 76, let I pray thee, thy merciful kindness be for my comfort. Salakia. Comfort, according to thy word unto thy servant. So he's saying, I pray that your kindness is to his comfort, right? Because it's actually an act of kindness when the Most High afflicts you. That's why it says, it is a good, or it is good for me that I have been afflicted, right? It's good to be afflicted. That's actually a kindness the Most High is doing you, because he's not afflicting certain people. He's not giving them the sign of, look, you went off and now you need to repent, right? That is an act of merciful kindness. That should comfort you. Like when if you punish your child, right? That's showing that you love them, because they're going off, they're doing the wrong thing, and you're correcting them so that they don't grow up to be a piece of crap, that they don't end up in jail, right? If you don't love your children, if they're not your children, you won't correct them in the first place. It's like I've given the example many times. If you're out at the park and you see your child and someone else's child and they're throwing rocks at a dog or something, or for an example, would you go and spank the other kid that's not yours? No, right? You go and deal with your child. So the Most High is showing you a merciful kindness and trying to get you on track by afflicting you and correcting you and giving you signs of, look, you need to get right. Right? Verse 77, let thy tender mercies come unto me that I may live, for thy law is my delight. So he's saying, have mercy on me by what? By afflicting me and giving me these signs so I can live. Because how do you live? By choosing to keep the commandments. Right? So I'm gonna get two more verses and then I'll go back up to that question. If anyone else has any questions, you can ask them now. If not, I'm gonna finish with these two more verses. So this is Psalm 65 and 5. Psalm 65 and 5. By terrible things in righteousness will thou answer us, O Yahweh of our salvation, who art the confidence of all the ends of the earth, and of them that are afar off upon the sea. So the first half of the verse, by terrible things in righteousness will thou answer us, O Yahweh of our salvation. Sometimes the Most High has to afflict you. He's got to make things that seem terrible happen in order for you to turn to him and turn to his word and follow his word and end up righteous. By terrible things in righteousness, right? Maybe he's got to make something terrible happen. He's got to make someone in your family or someone around you die. He's got to make someone do something horrible to you, right? He's got to make you lose your job. He's got to make you total your car. He's got to make you lose your home, right? I know a brother that told me recently. He said he was going to keep Sabbath, but then he ended up working, and he had the feeling like he should have just said, "No, I'm not going to go in," right? And then he also broke Sabbath in another way. And guess what? He went to work on Sabbath and he broke his leg, right? And I told him, I was like, "Hey, man, that may be a terrible thing in righteousness." And he said, "Yeah, I'm in the hospital bed right now, and I'm watching videos and studying and things like that." Right? Sometimes by terrible things in righteousness, that is your sign. Whether it be you lose a relationship, or whether you lose, like I said, a job, a car, a home, whatever the case may be, a child even, because that's what happened to David. For those of y'all who are familiar with the story of David, right? What did David do? He wanted Bathsheba, who was already married. What did he do? He sent her husband to the front lines of a war or of a battle so that he could die, right? And guess what happened to him? He did die. And then what did David do? He took Bathsheba as his wife. So what did the Most High say? He said, okay, you want to be a murderer, right? You want to steal this man's wife? I'm going to kill your child. and the Most High killed David's son. And remember, this is the scriptures say that David was a man that was after the Most High's heart. He was a man that sincerely was striving to follow after the Most High, but he slipped up, right? It's like we read in Galatians 5:17, like your spirit. Sometimes the flesh wins that battle between your spirit, the battle between your spirit and your flesh, right? Like we read in Matthew 26:41. Your spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. David gave in. He basically stole the man's wife and had the man put to death. He had him killed in the battle. So the Most High killed his son. That was a terrible thing. Anybody who has children, even if you don't, I'm sure you can somewhat imagine. Losing a child is a horrible thing, right? But then what happened in the end? What was the righteousness? Because it says by terrible things in righteousness. What happened after that was David repented. He cried to the Most High, said he sincerely repented with his heart. And then Solomon was born, right? And Solomon was the wisest man to ever walk the earth besides our Messiah, right? So by terrible things in righteousness does the Most High answer you sometimes. He makes terrible things happen. He makes you be afflicted. Maybe he gives you a sign, and that sign is terrifying to you, but he's giving it to you for a reason, right? He's making that happen for a reason. So this is I'll probably finish with this and then I'll go back up. 2 Corinthians 15:13, that whosoever would not seek Yahweh God of Israel should be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman. Right? The Most High is no respecter of persons when it comes to following his word. If you do not seek the Most High, if he gives you signs, if he shows you the times are speeding up, right? And you still don't want to seek him, what's going to happen to you is you are going to end up being put to death. It doesn't matter if you're considered rich, poor, right? You're a man of great power, of no power, whether you're a man, woman, it doesn't matter to the Most High. So the brother Chokeboa, this has been bugging me for a minute, but is the Star of David that certain camps have the Star of Moloch, and is circumcision of the flesh required, or is it spiritual like Genesis 17? Okay, come. So, hold on. Planning on being baptized by Jomar soon and wondering if me not being circumcised in the flesh affects my baptism and salvation. So, short answer, I'll give you a short answer on both. The Star of David, that is not, or the Shield of David that the camps have, I do not believe that it is the exact Star of Moloch, right? There's no, to my knowledge, there is no evidence to back up that it is the Star of Moloch. But what I will say also is that there's no way it is the Shield of David either. There's no evidence to back that up either, right? They say that Solomon's ring had it and things like that. But we have to remember in Solomon's latter end of his life, he started getting into all these other nations' philosophies and doctrines and false gods and idol worship, etc. That so-called Star of David is seen all in the Catholic Church. They use it, right? In Christian churches, they use it. In India, there's certain religions that use it. All across the world they use that, right? I definitely 100% believe that that star has nothing to do with the Bible, and it is used primarily for witchcraft, right? And when you just look at it and think, like, just use common sense, would the Most High have a star, so-called star, that has 6 points, it has 6 triangles, and it has a hexagon in the middle, which has what? 6 sides. 6 points, 6 triangles, 6 sides on a star that's supposed to represent the Most High. I don't think so, right? There's no way that that has anything to do with with the Bible. And without getting into detail, I've known of certain camps or certain people that use that star and have been into witchcraft and what's it called, like Freemasonry type of secret society type of stuff, right? So I would definitely say to stay away from that star. And then the circumcision thing, if you read in the law, circumcision is supposed to be done on the eighth day, right? The law says on the eighth day you're supposed to be circumcised. So if you weren't, however old you are, I guarantee you're older than 8 days. That you can't fulfill that law anymore. It's too late, right? If you have a son later in the future, I would say to try to the best of your ability to get him circumcised. But I know that there's certain people in the world right now that have asked about that, and like across the earth, and there's no way for them to get their children circumcised, right? So I would say that there's multiple verses, right, without going too much off topic, um, that say that circumcision is of the heart, of the mind, it's spiritual. It says in the Old Testament and the New Testament, right? And as far as you planning on being baptized, all praise to the Most High. I hope that you're able to get that done according to the Most High's will, and that it goes beautifully. Every baptism I've been a part of has been definitely a beautiful experience. So Most High willing, that'll be the exact same thing for you, right? So let me go back up to I know the sister had a question, and then I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. Let me see. Okay, Ashley Yasharala, when you get free time, can you do a class on separating for a time and how to do it properly according to the word, how to do it righteously and not worldly? So do you mean like separating as far as from your husband? Like it says in what is it, First Corinthians 7? Is that what you're talking about? Just so I could be clear. Khan, much appreciated. Peace. I appreciate you a lot. I'll praise the Most High. Khan, no problem, Mark. No problem. So just so you know, I don't really go by Joaquin anymore, but it's cool. I finally have a Hebrew name, which I'm gonna put it right here in the comments actually. Kana, which means zeal, right? Kingdom Minded 144 Shalom Ak, what camp you're joining soon? Are you talking to me or someone else? I'm not joining any camp soon that I believe of, right? I'm not, unless you're talking to the brother that was commenting. Let me see. I don't know if the sister's still on here that had asked the question about separation. If you're still on here, sis, I'm not sure if that's what you were talking about. If not, you can message me on my Instagram. Is Uriel Hebrew? That's my birth name. So yeah, Uriel means if I remember correctly, it means like light of L. That's where the L. Anytime you read Lel, right, in English, that is what God translates to the word God, right? The title God translates to El in modern Hebrew, right? So like for example, if you're familiar with what's it called, that show Smallville, or the Superman, his name was Kal-El. El means God, right? But in the Paleo Hebrew, it would be Allah, right? Allah. So let me just put it in the comments real quick. El, so you can understand modern. So in the paleo, there's no E, right? In the older, so it would be an A, which makes the ah sound, and then you have the L, which makes la, right? Right. So your name would actually the end part of it means God, right? And then the U translates to a wa because there's no. So I'm gonna write it in paleo actually. Wa ra. It would be close to that. Wa ra Allah, right? Which means light of Allah or light of God, right? If I remember correctly. So yes, brethren, I'm referring to marriage like separating from a spouse. Okay, so a lot of people, I'm not sure, I'm not saying that this is the case with you, but a lot of people take that out of context. So just so I'm clear, and you know what, I'll probably make a video for you, like a short, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes or less video, and I'll post it up for you tomorrow if I have time. If not, then for sure Monday. When you talk about separating, do you mean like sexually, or do you mean actually separating like to get right? Because I know brothers and sisters that have separated, like, okay, I know a brother that was like, hey, she's not following it. Look, you're gonna have to get out of my house because you're acting wickedly. Get yourself together, and then if you get yourself together, you want to follow the Most High, then you can come back into my home, right? I know multiple brothers that have done that, and some of them it was like they got themselves in order, they came back, they worked out their marriage, and some of them it was like the chick just goes and starts sleeping with other dudes, doing whatever, and that's grounds for divorce, right? So then he was just like, you know what? I heard she got with this dude. It was true, so I'm gonna divorce her, right? Because Yahweh Shai, our Messiah, said the only grounds, real grounds for a valid divorce is for cause of fornication, if she cheats on you, right? So do you mean separating, like separating physically out of the same home, or do you mean like separating as in fasting from sexual activities? Just so I could be clear. My Hebrew name means kingdom, but really kingdom minded. So how do you say your name in Hebrew? I'm not sure what your Hebrew name is, to be honest. I'm just gonna wait for the sister to respond, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end it off. Let me go back and read. Let me go back to the top, see if the first verses were still there. Okay. All praise to the Most High. Thank you so much. Okay. Did you mean though separating from a spouse? When you say that separating from a spouse, do you mean separating like temporarily, like moving out of the same homes, or are you talking about, because in Hebrew or in First Corinthians, actually let me just get the verse. Let me get the verse real quick. Or do you mean like sexually fasting and separating in that manner, right? You know what? I'm just gonna get it in context. I'm gonna get a couple of the verses. Okay. Your comment just popped up. I don't know if my connection is going slow, but it's like 4 or 5 comments will pop up at one time. So I think they're just coming in late on my end, right? Like separating because of other issues that we aren't agreeing on, not necessarily sexually. Con, yes, physically out of the same house. So that would definitely be a case by case basis, I would say for sure. But you know what? I'll go ahead and do, yeah, like I said, I'll go ahead and do a video on it just to get more precepts together to show you, right? To pull out on it, because that's another question that I've gotten asked in the last month or two, at least maybe a handful of times. So I'll go ahead and go through that either tomorrow or Monday, like I said, when I have time, and I'll post it up on my Instagram and go over that, right? Just to give you a more in-depth answer, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and finish by saying, or I'm gonna go back up to actually one of the first verses we read, right? So obviously we could see the time speeding up. The times are speeding up. The Most High is giving people signs left and right like crazy. So if you are not acting on these signs, right? Or if you're not acting on the words that you're reading, that you're hearing, that you're seeing on lessons or on wherever you're getting the word from, right? Then the Most High, the every day that you tarry, the Most High can just have your light put out, right? I'm gonna read 2 verses and then I'll close it out. This is Jeremiah 13:10. This evil people which refuse to hear my words, which walk in the imagination of their heart and walk after other gods. Remember, going off your own will is making yourself your own God. To serve them, and you can serve your own self by not following after the Most High. And to worship them shall even be as this girdle, which is good for nothing. You are going to be, everything you're doing is good for nothing, right? If you are not following after the Most High. You could try and work things out on your own. You can try and go your own path, your own way. But guess what? It's going to be good for nothing in the end because you're still going to be put to death for not following after the Most High. Second Chronicles 15:13. That whosoever would not seek Yahweh, God of Israel, should be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman, right? So seek the Most High while he may be found, right? Like the brother had brought out earlier, Isaiah 55:6, right? Actually, let me see if I can find it real quick. Isaiah 55:6, seek the Most High while he may be found. Salakia, there's too many comments to go through. Okay, so Khan, I'll definitely if you want to message me on Instagram and maybe I could give you some edification on there. Just make sure you ask your husband, or if you want to, if your husband would be willing to do a counseling. This week alone, man, I've probably done more counsels than in the 5 years I've been in the truth. So if you want and your husband's down to go through some scriptures and do a counsel and talk, that would probably be the best thing to do. But if not, if he doesn't want to, because a lot of times the it seems to be the men that don't want to get counsel, then just ask your husband if it's all right if I give you some scriptures and stuff like that. And then if not, if you'd rather just me do a video, I can go ahead and do that. So just go ahead and message me and I'll get back to you when I can. Right. But so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out with that. I'll say the times are speeding up, right? The signs are speeding up. If you're not going to listen to the Most High, you're not going to seek the Most High, you will die. That is straight from His word. That is a promise. You keep ignoring the Most High, you will die. Right? When words won't teach you, adversity will. And a lot of adversity is coming in the times to come. In Jacob's trouble, there's a new law on the 4th or on the 5th that's going to go into play. Any companies over 100 employees, guess what? You either got to get that venom or you're going to have to be tested, I believe, on a weekly or multi times a week basis, right? Now's not the time to play with your salvation. All hell's about to break loose pretty soon. We don't know exactly the day or hour, but we know it's getting closer, right? A lesson unlearned is a lesson returned. So I say all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, Shalom, Shalom to all you sincere brothers and sisters out there that are trying to follow the Most High in truth and in sincerity and wholeheartedly. So Shalom and Barakatah.